Hi, everybody, Doug and Alea. And in this session, because it's totally obsessing me, I want to talk about difficult conversations. Some of you might have seen some of the YouTube shorts that I'm putting up here at empath.help on difficult conversations. And I've just gotten really interested in the idea that there are so many people who are avoiding having a conversation with somebody else because of all kinds of reasons. So we're going to talk a little bit about that in this session and give you some ideas and tips for dealing with difficult conversations. And I'm even going to offer to help you out as a facilitator if you need that. All right, so what is a difficult conversation? Well, we all know what they are, right? You've got a relationship with somebody. It could be a family member, it could be a friend, it could be somebody at work. And some issue has come up that's really sticky and not very pleasant. And you don't want to talk about it. And the stress that's putting on the relationship just gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger because it's the elephant in the room that nobody wants to talk about. So what are some of the topics that we typically see? Well, obviously, one of the big ones today is politics. Maybe you've got somebody on the right, somebody on the left, they're in the same family. Nobody wants to talk about politics because it is too ugly and gets into fights really quickly. But you could also have topics around sex or money or career or the future of a relationship or getting your emotions met or how you treat each other with respect or non-respect or child upraising. I mean, think of any kind of controversial topic that people can disagree on. And that's what you can have a difficult conversation about. Now, the question is, why do people avoid these difficult topics? Well, they avoid these topics because of fear. They're afraid of being hurt, or they're afraid of hurting somebody else. They're afraid of being humiliated or shamed, or they're afraid of shaming or humiliating the other person. They might be afraid of the emotionality of the conversation, that it's going to get out of control. And you might be worried that it's you that's going to get out of control, or maybe you're calm and collected, and you're worried that the person you need to have a difficult conversation with is going to go absolutely out of control. And now you've made the whole thing a lot bigger mess than it was before you started. So what do? We avoid these difficult conversations. We sort of skirt around the issues. When we're with the person that we've got to have this difficult conversation with, there's sort of an uncomfortable tension, anxiety. Nobody really wants to bring it up, but you all know you got to talk about it. But everybody's afraid, and nobody wants to be rude, and everybody wants to be polite and be a pleaser. And so it just gets avoided and avoided and avoided. And eventually it can stress a relationship to the point that it breaks the relationship if you don't have that difficult conversation.
And unrepairable. And also too, in all of the communication, when you have a situation that hasn't been resolved, there'll be little jabs. So it's like this resentment that slowly builds and passive aggressive ways of communicating. And it creates a really unsafe environment to be in relationship with that person who might actually be really close to you.
Emotionally unsafe. That's absolutely right. So the question is, how do you go about having a difficult conversation? Well, the number one rule that I have when I facilitate difficult conversations is I say, this is not about talking. This is about listening. And you're going to spend most of your time in these difficult conversations listening to the other person. And if you're really good and you've taken my courses, you're going to know that you're not going to listen to the words. You're going to ignore the words, and you're going to pay attention to the emotions. And the second thing you're going to do is reflect what the other person has to say from that person's frame of reference. That means that you're not going to use I statements, and you're not going to ask any questions when the other person is speaking. You're going to use a very simple you statement, saying something like, you're really frustrated, you're really angry. But you're not going to say something like that old active listening crap that doesn't work. It's total bullshit. What I think you're saying is, or what I hear you saying is X, Y, Z. We all
Because
know that.
the moment you use the I word, now it becomes all about you instead of the person that you're actually in relationship with and talking to.
And that will inflame the difficult conversation even more.
The
So
heartbeat.
the secret to difficult conversations is learning how to listen to emotions. A process called affect labeling that I teach and coach people on, wrote a book about it. And that's the foundational secret to having the difficult conversation. If you don't listen to emotions and you don't reflect back the emotions, then what's going to happen is the typical problem. Somebody will start to talk. You won't be paying attention to the speaker. You'll be thinking about what you want to say and what you need to say. And the speaker will know that you're not listening. They can just feel it unconsciously. And so they will start to get a little bit more angry and they say, you're not listening to me. And you'll say, yes, I am. No, you're not. Yes, I am. And it'll start to escalate. And even if it doesn't escalate that way, because you're not paying attention to the speaker, as soon as the speaker finishes, all you want to do is talk about what you want to say, because you have a deep need to be heard and listened to. And guess what? The speaker has a deep need to be heard too. So we're both vying or competing to be heard, and nobody listens to either one. No one listens. No one hears each other, because you're both so needy. You both so need to be heard and validated by the other person that you're just focused on your own needs, not focused on fulfilling the needs of the other person. And it's that problem that makes difficult conversations so difficult. Alea, so since we're on empath.help, what's your perception about how empaths deal with difficult conversations?
It's gnarly. Really gnarly, because when you're empathic, you are feeling another person's feeling. But the challenge is that when you're in a conflict, an unresolved conflict with someone, as an empath, you'll possibly take responsibility for their upset. You might even get attached and wanting for them to resolve the upset. Then you start to put your, what I call, it's like your vibrational fabric on them, trying to soothe them. That's going to actually make them even angrier, because you're energetically smothering them without even realizing it. And then on top of it, now you start to feel all of their feelings even more, because you have that entanglement where you place the attachment on them, you're holding the responsibility, you're putting your lovely vibrational fabric on them, wanting to soothe them. Then they start to attack you. You're feeling all of their stuff coupled with the attack, and you're like, why are they so upset? I'm just trying to help them. Well, it's because of that energetic entanglement. And so when you have somebody in your life that has this unresolved energy, they might not even know it, but because you're so sensitive, you can totally feel it. And here's the other challenge. When you're empathic, when you're super sensitive, when you're pretty aware, you might actually start processing all of this unresolved upset in dream time. And then you start to take your creative energy, your life force, your healing energy, your sexual energy, your psychic energy, using that energy, trying to resolve the differences between you and this person. So then you get totally depleted. Now you're completely exhausted. Now you don't have any life force for you. Your sex drive might go down. It could also negatively impact your finances, because your creative juice, which is your primary support, is leaking out. And then there's another layer to being empathic and having an unresolved situation in your life with somebody. And that is that you could actually start to empathically process their karma. And so then you start literally drawing to you their situations. And we can only handle our own karma. No matter how evolved we are, we can only handle our own karma. And so when you start to feel like you're getting crushed and overwhelmed in your life, that's a possible indicator that you're processing the karma of people that you have messy relationships with or unresolved relationships with. And so it becomes really critical to use the awareness, to use the sensitivity, to crank up the courage, and to go to that person and say, hey, there is a situation that could feel better. We could feel better in our life with each other. Would you be open to that? I want to feel soft and warm and fuzzy and loving and healthy with you. Is that something you're willing to do? And again, that kind of conversation, the languaging you use is obviously going to be different depending on the person that you're in relationship with. If it's your boss, you're not going to be like, hey, I want to feel really warm and fuzzy and safe with you. We're not going to say that to the boss. or to a colleague maybe, but to a partner, to a dear friend. And so using your languaging, being discerning about that. But as an empath, it's essential to tend to what is in your awareness, because if you don't tend to it and you are aware and you're super sensitive, it's going to build, it's going to build, it's going to build. And then other situations that are the reflection of this are going to multiply. And so I personally like getting things right out of the gates, the moment it starts to feel messy, bring in these tools that Doug was talking about and tend to what is in front of you instead of waiting for it to multiply, and then you get to a breaking point and you have to tend to it. Then it can be really traumatic. And so crank up the courage, bring in the inner power, and also know that there are tools out there. And if you're listening to this and you're like, oh my God, I really need to have that conversation with that person and I'm scared. Well, of course you're scared because you don't have the tools. I'd be terrified if I got into a situation and I didn't have the tools for it. But Doug is offering this opportunity for a short period of time, right? It doesn't cost you anything but courage and your time and the willingness of another to come into a Zoom room and have him listen both of you into existence, validate both of your emotions. And I've witnessed him do this. He is a genius. He's a master at it. And if you have this situation and need a space for incredible tools for healing, ponder working with him for just half an hour at some point in the next few weeks, in the next month. I'm not sure how long you're going to be doing these difficult conversations, Doug, but it's an incredible opportunity.
So let me tell you what I'm doing, and then you can, I'll also give you the URL of where you can learn more, and also we'll put it in the notes in the description so that you can click on it. So many of you know that I'm a lawyer-turned-peacemaker, and I've spent the last 25 years studying human conflict. I'm a mediator and arbitrator and teach people how to de-escalate deep conflict, working in maximum security prisons and at the Congressional Budget Office. I got the idea a couple of weeks ago. I was sitting with Alea. I think I'd had maybe one whiskey too many.
Never.
And we got the idea of what would it be like if I could facilitate a difficult conversation between two people on Zoom. And then we got the idea, because now, the alcohol is talking, well, what would it be like if we live streamed it? And the more I thought about it, the more I really liked that idea, because what I want to do is build a library on my YouTube channel, The Power of Emotional Competence, of how to, so that people can, on YouTube, can go and watch videos of real people with real problems having transformative experiences, because I will guarantee you this will be a transformative experience for you. So I got to thinking about it, and I built up a funnel and a web page. But I also decided, yeah, there are probably people who may not want to live stream because it's too confidential, or they're shy, or they don't want to be a reality TV star, because that's in essence what you're going to be. But I need to honor my time too. So here's the deal. I'll give you the link in a second. But if you have a difficult conversation that you need to have with somebody that you've been avoiding, then I'm going to send you to this link, and it's in the description, but I'll give it to you right now. It's https Doug Noll, DougNoll.com/LP/difficult-conversations. DougNoll.com/LP/difficult-conversations. It's a long page. Read the whole thing. And then if you are interested in learning more and want to continue with it, put in your email address so we know how to contact you, and you'll be taken to another page that will describe all the details. And I'm not going to hold you in suspense. Here's the deal. If you and the other person want to have a difficult conversation, I will do it absolutely free. I'll give you a full free hour of my time, as long as you agree that we can live stream it to YouTube so other people can see us actually doing the work. If you don't want to live stream it, that's okay. I just need to get paid, and my fee will be $1,500. So it's either pay me the money or do it for free, and we get to live stream it. And it's all set up in the system. All you need to do is read everything, give the link to the person that you need to have this conversation with, have them read everything. And if you both agree There's a calendar on the webpage where you can pick a calendar date. On my calendar. It's real time, so it's always accurate. And then I'll see you in the conversation, and you will have an amazing experience. I've done a bunch of these so far. I haven't live streamed any yet, but I've done some private ones. And all I can tell you is it just blows my mind how powerful it is.
But I really like the free idea, because when you're coming in and it's live streamed, there's a level of accountability, and it forces us to be our best self. And so this person that you're in relationship with and you want to heal, it will encourage them to be their best self because of that witnessing that happens when we are live streaming something.
Right. So I know everybody has a difficult conversation they're avoiding. And people that are watching this, you all have a difficult conversation you're avoiding. Fortunately, I don't have any difficult conversations I'm avoiding. And I know Alea doesn't either, but we've worked through it all between ourselves.
We've had the difficult conversations over the last decade, right? Like
and
resolving it so that we can keep moving forward in our lives. But when we have a situation that we don't resolve, we can't move forward. We spin.
Right. So we're clear of it, which puts us in a position to be able to help you get clear too. So the URL again is dougnoll.com/LP/difficult-conversations. Read it. If it resonates with you, share the link with the other person. If they resonate with it, then decide whether or not you want to pay for it or do it for free, and we'll live stream it, and then set the calendar date. And my calendar is pretty free between now and the end of the year. So I don't know how long I'm going to be doing this. This is a big experiment. I have no idea how many people are going to take me up on it. If I get swamped, I'll probably cut it off. If I get a few, I'll keep promoting it. And you'll be seeing my YouTube shorts that I'll be putting up here at empath.help and on my Power of Emotional Competency channel. And as long as you keep seeing those videos come up, you'll know that I'm still open to doing this. So it's an exciting project. And I hope that if you have that difficult conversation you've been avoiding, that you take us up on the offer, because I think you'll really be happy with the results.